Some people move through life like they belong everywhere. They fit into groups, into conversations, into expectations, into the world's standard shapes. But then, there are people like you. People who always felt slightly out of place, slightly detached, slightly unusual, like you were tuned to a frequency the world couldn't hear. You grew up wondering why your mind worked differently, why your emotions ran deeper, why your thoughts were heavier, why your ambitions were larger, why your pace was slower or faster than everyone else around you. And somewhere along the way, people started telling you that being different was a flaw, that your intensity was too much, that your softness was weakness, that your silence was odd, that your dreams were unrealistic, that your depth was unnecessary, that your curiosity was strange, that your loneliness was your fault. But here's the truth the world rarely says out loud. Every extraordinary person in history felt this exact way before they became extraordinary. Difference has always been the seed of greatness, not conformity. Think about it. People who changed the world weren't the ones who blended in. They were the ones who stuck out. It's the ones who questioned things, the ones who couldn't. Except this is just how things are. The ones who didn't think like the crowd. The ones whose emotions and thoughts didn't fit into society's tiny boxes. The ones who were told they were strange, intense, unrealistic, obsessive, complicated, or too much. Those flaws later became their superpowers. But the world doesn't tell you this. The world tries to teach you uniformity, not individuality. It teaches you to follow, not create. It teaches you to blend, not break patterns. It teaches you to silence the exact parts of yourself that hold the blueprint of your greatness. And that's why so many people live their entire lives without ever discovering who they could have been. But not you. Not if you finally decide. To understand why you're different, and why that difference is the greatest thing you possess, let me show you something powerful with a real, relatable example. Not a historical figure, but someone like you. There was a boy named Ion. He wasn't special in the traditional sense. He wasn't the topper, not the athlete, not the popular one, not the loud one. He was the quiet observer in the back of the room, the one who noticed everything and said very little. Teachers told him he needed to speak up more. Relatives said he was too sensitive. Friends said he thought too much. Society said he was too slow because he didn't want to rush into the same paths everyone else was taking. Inside, Ion always felt like he was living in a world where everyone else had the instruction manual except him. But here's the part no one saw. Ion could see connections in things others never noticed. He could feel emotions on levels others didn't understand. He could imagine possibilities others couldn't picture. He could think deeply while others were thinking quickly. But because he didn't fit the traditional mold, he spent years believing something was wrong with him, till one day his life changed because he made a discovery that millions of people never make. The thing that made him different was actually the very thing he was born to use. Ion loved drawing quiet scenes, small details, reflections, shadows, tiny emotions captured in ink. One day a teacher picked up his sketchbook and said something he had never heard before. "You see the world differently. Don't lose that." That single sentence became the spark. Ion didn't suddenly transform, but he stopped trying to erase the parts of himself that made him unique. Years later, he became an artist known for capturing emotions in ways people had never seen before. The quiet boy who thought too much now created art that made people feel deeply. The sensitive boy who was told he needed to toughen up was now praised for emotional intelligence. The observer who spoke little now communicated through colors and shapes more powerfully than words ever could. Ion wasn't successful despite being different. He was successful because he was different. And the same applies to you. The way you think is not an accident. The way you feel is not an error. The way you move through the world is not a malfunction. Your intensity? That's passion. Your sensitivity? That's awareness. Your overthinking? That's deep processing. Your silence? It's observation. Your loneliness? That's self-preservation. Your imagination? That's innovation. Your weirdness? That's originality. It's every trait you were told to hide is the exact trait that will one day set you apart. But only if you stop burying it. Only if you stop apologizing for it. Only if you stop trying to become someone you were never meant to be. You are not meant to fit in. You are meant to stand out. You are meant to break patterns, not repeat them. You're meant to build paths, not walk them. You're meant to create. Disrupt, redefine, rethink, reimagine, not live on autopilot. But before you can use your difference, you must understand it. You must accept it. You must honor it. You must protect it. Most importantly, you must stop seeing it as a burden, because it's your power. And the moment you stop treating it like a flaw, everything in your life begins to shift. You start noticing that the people who once called you strange now quietly admire your depth. You realize the world that once overwhelmed you actually has spaces made for minds like yours. People who feel deeply, think intensely, imagine boldly. Slowly, your difference stops feeling like a burden and becomes a map, guiding you toward the kind of life built for depth, awareness, intention, and soul. Your path was never meant to be ordinary. That's why ordinary routines, expectations, and timelines never matched you. The friction you felt your whole life wasn't failure. It was your spirit rejecting smallness. Yes, being different can be lonely, the kind of loneliness that sits quietly in your chest. But loneliness isn't punishment, it's preparation. Silence isn't emptiness, it's alignment. Distance isn't rejection. If you were like everyone else, you would have drowned in the noise. But because you're different, you learn to trust your inner compass, to hear yourself, to build your identity from the inside instead of the crowd. Every time you felt disconnected, you were being guided toward a life that fits you. Every time you felt misunderstood, you were growing into someone who no longer needs validation. Every time you felt too much, you were building emotional depth that will later become your strength. People who feel more, create more. People who think differently, build differently. People who never fit in end up creating the places where they finally do. The biggest shift comes when you stop chasing acceptance and start choosing alignment. When you stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. When you stop dimming your curiosity, quieting your emotions, or pretending to be simple. The day you stop fighting who you are, your difference becomes your freedom. You walk into rooms wondering not do I belong, but does this space deserve me? Stop letting temporary people define you. You stop measuring yourself by how normal you seem. You stop seeing uniqueness as a burden and start seeing it as your birthright. And suddenly life becomes about becoming, not proving. You choose friendships that match your depth, goals that match your ambition, paths that match your curiosity. You move toward environments that treat your difference as strength. Take risks because your intuition grows louder than your fear. You accept that you were never meant to follow the script others follow. You were meant to write your own. And one day, the traits that isolated you will attract people who understand you instantly. The traits people mocked will become the reasons others admire you. The traits that felt heavy will become your foundation. The traits you hid will help someone else feel seen. So if you've ever wondered why you think, feel, dream, and move differently, it's because you were never meant to be a copy. You're a blueprint, a rare design with a purpose only someone like you can fulfill. Your difference is not an accident, it's evidence of intention. You were built differently because you're meant to do something different, something the average person can't imagine or carry. Deep down, you've always felt that whisper saying, I'm meant for more. That whisper exists because it's true. You're not here to fit in, you're here to shift things. And every part of you that feels different is the proof. The moment someone realizes they are different, the world doesn't magically become kinder, it often becomes harsher. People don't celebrate uniqueness at first. They question it, test it, challenge it, and sometimes try to crush it. And that is exactly why the journey of someone like you has always been heavier than others, not because you were weak, but because the world wanted to see if you could survive without becoming like everyone else. The universe has a strange way of shaping rare people, first by isolating them, then by confusing them, then by breaking every illusion of fitting in, until they finally learn that belonging was never supposed to be found outside, it was always supposed to be built from within. And once that realization begins, once the shift starts, something powerful happens. Instead of trying to earn acceptance, you begin to accept yourself. Instead of chasing validation, You begin to validate your own mind, your own voice, your own feelings, your own instincts. And that is where transformation begins silently, invisibly, internally. But this transformation is not loud, dramatic, or cinematic. It doesn't happen in one moment. It happens gradually, through a collection of tiny awakenings that stack slowly until suddenly everything looks different. It happens the first time you walk away from someone who keeps misunderstanding you. And instead of feeling guilty, you feel relieved. It happens the first time you choose peace over pleasing people. It happens the first time you allow yourself to be misunderstood without defending who you are. It happens the first time you trust your intuition more than other people's opinions. It happens the first time you say no without explaining why. And it happens the first time you realize that the right people do not need you to shrink to love you. They need you to be exactly who you are. And here's the truth. No one tells you. People like you are not meant to be understood by many, only by a few, the right few. Your mind is not designed for crowds. It's designed for connections. Your heart is not designed for performance. It's designed for presence. Your depth is not designed for popularity. It's designed for purpose. And that is why you've always felt like you belong everywhere and nowhere at the same time, because you were waiting for the places that match your wavelength. Not just your location. The moment you stop forcing yourself into the wrong spaces, the right ones begin to appear naturally, effortlessly, without chasing. Because authentic connections don't happen when you dilute yourself. They happen when you finally allow your real frequency to be heard. And people who are meant for you will find you. Not because you try harder, but because you finally become visible by being yourself. But there's something even more powerful hiding underneath your difference. Purpose. Not a job, not a hobby, not a dream. Purpose. That inner pull you've always had, the voice that always whispered, there's more than this. That discomfort you felt when settling. That restlessness you felt when trying to be like everyone else. That wasn't dissatisfaction. It was direction. Your soul has been trying to guide you your whole life, not toward ease, not toward comfort, but toward the life that only someone like you can build. And that life requires everything you once thought was wrong with you. Your creativity, your sensitivity, your intensity, your curiosity, your imagination. Those are not random traits. They are tools. Tools for the role you are meant to play. Tools for the mark you are meant to leave. Tools for the version of the world you are meant to influence. And the moment you stop suppressing those traits is the moment your path starts to reveal itself. Not instantly. Not completely, but steadily, step by step. Opportunity by opportunity. Who are meant for something big rarely see the full picture in advance. They discover it through motion. You don't need to know every destination before moving. You just need to stop abandoning the parts of yourself that are trying to lead you there. The truth is, your mind is more powerful than you realize. Not powerful in the noisy, aggressive, dominating way the world praises, but powerful in the subtle, steady, transformative way that actually changes things. You don't shake the world by being loud. You shake the world by being real. And the real you has been calling, not softly, not weakly, but constantly. Every dream you couldn't explain, every random passion you couldn't ignore, every ambition that didn't make sense to others, every instinct that felt too strange to say out loud, every desire that scared you because it was bigger than your surroundings. All of that was direction, not disorder. And if you have ever wondered why you struggle to settle for less while others seem perfectly fine living ordinary lives, the answer is simple. You weren't built for ordinary. Ordinary would suffocate you. Ordinary would numb you. Ordinary would slowly kill the part of you that makes you, you. And that resistance you've always felt? That wasn't frustration. That was alignment rejecting limitation. The world often calls people like you complicated. But you're not complicated, you're layered. You're not confusing, you're rare. You're not dramatic, you're emotionally intelligent. You're not lost, you're exploring. You're not quiet, you're processing. You're not fragile, you just love deeply. You're not distant, you're selective. You're not late, your timeline is different because your destiny is different. People like you are not born to follow instructions. You are born to write new ones. You are not born to repeat the story, you are born to rewrite it. You are not born to fit the world, you are born to rebuild parts of it. And once you finally understand that your difference is not a malfunction but a message, everything changes. Not because the world becomes easier, but because you become clearer. But the real transformation begins when you finally start building a life that fits who you actually are, instead of who the world expected you to be. You begin waking up with a sense of purpose instead of pressure. Because you're no longer chasing approval, you're following alignment. You stop forcing yourself into circles that drain you. You start gravitating toward the environments that feed your mind and spirit. You stop feeling guilty for having big dreams, deep thoughts, or sensitive emotions, because you realize they're not weaknesses. They're your navigation system. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. And you start valuing the ones who understand you without needing definitions. You stop being ashamed of how intensely you love, care, and think. And you start seeing it as a gift very few people are capable of. Life becomes less about surviving and more about creating, not because everything becomes easy, but because you finally stop fighting yourself. You begin to notice that the people you attract start changing too. Instead of those who only want convenience, you attract those who want connection. Instead of those who want shallow conversations, you attract those who want truth and vulnerability. Instead of those who fear your depth, you attract those who recognize it because they've lived it too. Slowly, you realize that your people were never the majority. They were simply rare, just like you. And when rare souls find each other, everything makes sense. Your jokes land. Your silence feels comfortable. Your ideas don't need shrinking. Your dreams don't sound impossible. Your feelings aren't too much. Your difference isn't questioned, it's mirrored. That's when you understand that you were never hard to love. You were just surrounded by people incapable of loving deeply. You were never too quiet. You were surrounded by noise. You were never too intense. You were surrounded by people afraid to feel. You were never too ambitious. You were surrounded by people afraid to try, bit by bit. Stop wishing to be normal because you finally understand what normal really means. Compromising your truth for comfort. You realize that normality is cheap, but authenticity is priceless. The world might not always celebrate originality immediately, but eventually it gravitates toward it, because deep down, every human being is searching for something real. And that's what you are when you stop hiding who you were designed to be. You become real. And real is unforgettable. Real is impactful. Real is unstoppable. The moment you embrace your difference, you stop living as a shadow of yourself and step into the life you were always meant to live. A life where you don't just exist, matter. Where you don't just fit in, but belong. Where you don't just follow the world, but shape it simply by being everything you truly are.